Welcome back, guys, to my channel. Hit the like and the subscribe. Appreciate it. Today we got a new review with the Bears of who they picked. The three players, top players they picked for defense. Let's check it out.
Chicago Bears have signed 3 defenders to help boost their defense in 2021. Now, they have released some players that help them on defense, like Kyle Fuller, but they've also looked to replace them with cheaper alternatives.
Now y'all hear that, right? They released Kyle Fuller, one of my favorite players on the Chicago Bears. But due to technicalities and probably how he progressing and the way he played from 3 years ago to now, it's probably looking like time to, you know what I'm saying, not just slap in a new player. They also been thinking about that for years, if they got to replace him on that side, due to the fact that he was good in college, but after a couple of years, maybe 4 years, 5 years in the league, you know, he wasn't playing shutdown no more. So due to the facts that that's happened and we got new players, you know how you dress up and you dress out.
We have Jeremiah Attaochu of the Denver Broncos. I believe that's how you say his last name. Desmond Trufant of the Detroit Lions, and also
But most of all, most gratitude to Kyle Fuller. He was a great player in Chicago Bears. I know he's going to have a great season next year with whatever team he's playing for. I don't believe he will be a backup. I will believe he's a starter still. But let's see. We'll see.
Blackson of the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to discuss all 3 of those players in this video and what I think they bring to the Chicago defense. So first, Jeremiah Attaochu here actually had his best season of his career last year with the Denver Broncos. He was expected to play more as the 3rd player in the rotation off the edge for Denver, but Von Miller got hurt before the season began last year, and he actually became their primary edge rusher, with Chubb also being a little bit in and out of the lineup. So he played a bigger role than you would expect in Denver. And I've always liked his upside from an athletic standpoint, dating way back early in his career, but he had his best season, most productive pass rushing season last year. If you look at his advanced stats, he put up his most pressures. If you look at his sacks, he put up his most sacks. I believe 4.5 sacks. Pretty good pressure numbers, pretty good production play to play. But that's kind of more what he is. He's more of a pass rusher. He's got good speed, good quickness, a good athletic profile. And I think he does fit the scheme and the defense of Chicago. When you look at it, it makes sense to take an edge rusher from Denver and put him in Chicago because they play the same defense, right? When you look at it, Denver has Vic Fangio and Chicago has Chuck Pagano. The reason Chuck Pagano was hired in Chicago was to play as close of a defense to Vic Fangio as humanly possible. So when you look at it, there's a lot of transferable things there. That's why, again, Fuller signed with Denver, and there's just crossover that's easy for the players to transfer, easy for them
Fuller
to fit
signed
within
with Denver.
scheme. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, Chicago needed a little bit of boost at their second pass rushing spot.
I think he's gonna
Robert
fuck shit
Quinn
up
was a
in Denver.
disappointment last year. They gave him big money. He'll still be in the mix, most likely, but I think Attaochu will bring them a little bit more of a pass rushing presence to their team that they did need outside of just Khalil Mack. Now, there was another move they made here to the defensive front, which was Angelo Blackson. Angelo Blackson's a little-known player from Arizona, a nose tackle. I believe he had 2.5 sacks a year ago. He is a big nose tackle, just run stuffer,
That's
that
what
kind of
we
guy.
need.
He initially played in Houston, I believe was drafted by Houston, and then moved from Houston to Arizona, where he shifted more to a nose tackle role as opposed to more of a 3-4 end type role. So what I'm looking for here probably is just a replacement to Roy Robertson-Harris, who they lost to Jacksonville and they weren't willing to pay for. So I think Blackson will probably take that role unless they do move off of Akeem Hicks and they maybe are looking for more of him to replace that guy. So I think either way, they needed some depth on the interior of the defensive line because that's been a fundamental piece to what they've done in Chicago and what they've been so good at and why they've been successful defensively. And I think Angelo Blackson just adds another layer to that. Don't expect a pass rushing extraordinaire. He is more of a big-bodied run stuffer that can play nose, can mix it up in the inside, and is still, I think he's about mid-20s. So a nice replacement for a depth defensive lineman. Now, the final move here was the replacement for Kyle Fuller, which I believe happened before they released Kyle Fuller.
Here we go.
I could be wrong there, but I believe it did happen before they released Fuller, who then ended up signing with Denver. That was Desmond Trufant. Desmond Trufant,
what y'all think?
Never really, I believe, played in a defense that has been close to Chuck Pagano's defense. So what I will say about Desmond Trufant
Come on now, people. Tell me what y'all think.
He's been very inconsistent. There's been times he's played well. There's been other times he's played not so well. He shifted from a cover 3 press style of defense in Atlanta with the Seattle scheme of Dan Quinn to the Matt Patricia man-to-man heavy scheme in Detroit. And now he's going to be playing a lot more, probably more zone than man, but more quarters, things like that. So I think Trufant is still an NFL-capable starting corner. I don't think it's ideal to have him as a number 1 corner. I think he's probably more of a low-end 2, maybe a third corner if you got a good nickel corner. But I still think he can start. So I don't hate this move at all. He did struggle with Detroit and struggled to be healthy. So maybe that was part of the reason he wasn't so great last year. I think he can be productive. I think he can be a number 2 corner. Given his contract, it's only a 1-year deal. I don't hate it at all. You were moving off of Fuller, which I don't think necessarily made a lot of sense money-wise. But you moved off Fuller, so you needed a replacement for him. You can't expect your second-year corner, Johnson, to be the number 1 or just to take that role on head first. So now that you have Johnson, Trufant, capable player, experienced player, can play in your scheme probably better than in Detroit's scheme. So you're expecting a little bit of a boost there, a little bit of productivity there.
We'll see, though.
So I think it's a solid move. Nothing special, but he's a capable player.
We'll see.
More on Trufant. He's probably a taller player. He's about 6 foot-ish tall. Again, experienced, I believe, in his early 30s. Yeah, I mean, he's just okay. I don't have really much else to say about him unless he returns to his 2016, 2017 form where he was maybe a top 20 corner. That's kind of the best he's ever been. But I do think he can still be solid. So let me know, Bears fans, what you think.
What
Are you
y'all
disappointed
think,
that
Bears
the team moved
fans?
on from Fuller? Are you disappointed in the current offseason? Do you like these defensive moves? Probably my favorite of them all was Attaochu. And then I probably don't hate the Trufant move. Blackson I'm the least familiar with, but I do feel he can be a nice little layer of depth to the defensive line. So let me know what you guys think and how you feel these
hit the
three
like
players
and the
will fit
subscribe
within your
button.
defense.